Hello and welcome to Pets for Life, a how-to special. Every year we spend around £4 billion on pampering our pets, and that figure is set to keep on rising. Surely this is yet another sign of the UK being a nation of animal lovers. Unfortunately, it isn't that simple. In the making of this programme, we've learned from our friends at the Blue Cross that around 20% of animals they take in are strays, and a further 16% were handed over because the owners could no longer afford them. But cost is by no means the only consideration when owning a pet. Animal health care must be at the front of all our minds. Even the smallest pet will make big demands on your time, as you have to feed, train and exercise them, make regular visits to the vet and factor in a whole host of other activities. It's worth noting that the most popular pets, kittens, puppies or adult dogs, are classified as high maintenance pets. We recently visited the Blue Cross for more information.
A pet is a wonderful addition to any family, and I think any pet owner would tell you that. I mean, they bring love, companionship, they give you exercise, they really are wonderful, and especially families with children, they have huge benefits for children as well. So, I think despite the effort it takes to look after a pet, it really does pay off.
Smile. Good girl. She is a red and white setter. So she's obviously a purebred pedigree dog. She's about 18 months, and as you can see, she's very energetic, very busy and wants to work. She's a typical working breed. She's a lot smaller, and that's very indicative of working type breeds. You have to be sure that you can exercise the dog, firstly, depending on breed type and depending on your own capability and your own time. I mean, if you work full time and you are active, you still have to be realistic about how much time you can then give to a dog. The second thing is how long the dog has to be left on its own. Again, there are a lot of active people who maybe work all day who could own a dog, but it might not be fair to leave it for 8 hours during the working day. So we'd have to maybe look at if they could get a dog walker in at lunchtime, or they could get home at lunchtime to let the dog out and give it a break. It's why it's so important when people are choosing a breed to own that they do their research and they know exactly what that dog has been bred to do and selectively bred for hundreds of years. So absolutely important to research your breed and know what you're taking on, because very often that is the reason they don't stay in their homes. Cost of owning a dog, so you've got things to think about: insurance, medical costs, yearly vaccinations, deworming, defleeing, and food. That's another consideration. So to get a good quality food is not always cheap these days, so you have to make sure you can afford that.
When it comes to choosing dog food, there are vast numbers of options. It's all too easy to just grab the nearest tin at the supermarket. Even if we do give it a little bit of thought, it's hard to know whether we're really making the right choices for our dog's size, age and activity level. We want to make sure our pets are getting enough food and all the nutrients they need, but we also need to be careful not to overfeed them. Animal obesity is a serious issue and a major cause of health problems such as diabetes, respiratory conditions, arthritis, even behavioural problems. An astonishing third of all dogs in the UK are overweight. Getting the right balance isn't always easy.
Very simply, life stage is the stage of growth that your dog is going through his life. So we break it down into its most simplest form, into puppy, adult and senior or retirement age. And then lifestyle is very much, as in humans, how our dogs live their lives. So that can be if they're an outdoor active working dog, if they're a more sedentary dog, perhaps prone to putting on weight. We need to cater for that in the nutrients that we provide and how we provide them. And additionally, if they have a sensitive digestive system, we might provide something in the diet to help them absorb their nutrients more effectively. Or if they have a coat or skin problem, we can also add ingredients like omega-3s or omega-6s to help that coat and skin and nourish it. How much you feed a dog will vary very much so in terms of their individual metabolism, their age, their lifestyle, their body condition score, how active and energetic they are. So every dog is different in a nutshell. The simplest way to go about feeding your dog is to look at the guidelines in the back of every packet of pet food. It will give you a range of grams to feed, but you'll need to consider that what end of the range you want to feed based on also your dog's physical body condition and whether they're in ideal shape or if they're a little bit overweight or a little underweight, and also how much energy they tend to burn in their daily activity through exercise or play, or if they're an outdoor working dog. Everything has to be sort of tied together to make an individual tweak for your dog. But the feeding guidelines and pack are a good place to start. Puppies are very different to adults because they've got an awful lot of growing up to do in a very short space of time. So they can require up to twice as many calories, for example, as an adult dog. And what they need all the calories and energy and nutrients for is to build all that muscle and bone and strong teeth and a good healthy digestive system. So puppy pet food is specifically formulated to cater for those changing needs and provide them with the nutrients that they need to develop those muscles and help them grow into happy, healthy adult dogs. Beta is a pet food range created by Purina, who are a company with over 80 years expertise in pet care and nutrition. So the Beta range is specifically formulated to cater for your dog's changing needs as he goes through his life. And so it's been formulated and specifically created by vets and nutritionists to cater for those changing needs and create the optimal balance of nutrients and energy to promote health and well-being and ultimately support him whatever his life stage or lifestyle.
We know that dogs have individual requirements and that meeting these needs can take some effort. We visited the experts at the Blue Cross to find out what else we need to be aware of when looking after our pet's health.
A pet can affect family life in the most wonderful and enriching way. It's so important that when you get a pet, you really consider your personal circumstances, the environment you live in, the financial implications of having a pet, and also the type of pet that is reasonable for you to have. There's so many wonderful varieties of pet out there, but not every pet is appropriate for every family. And unfortunately, sometimes when people don't really research and consider the pet that they're getting, sadly, it doesn't always work out. And so these pets find themselves going through the process of having to be rehomed. So it's really important to research and make sure that if you have, say for example, a young family, that you get a pet that's going to integrate well into that environment. If you're a busy professional couple living in the city centre, that you don't get, say, a big great Irish wolfhound, that you get an animal that's appropriate for the kind of lifestyle you have. You have to be prepared that animals are a huge investment in terms of your time. You get so much back from them, but you have to be willing to give that time. It's a really important consideration.
I'm going to get his injection ready. You pop a hand on him and I'll just get the injection drawn up for you. Now I know we've probably spoken to you about neutering and recommended it. I know we've done that last time.
Yeah.
Is it something that you've been thinking about, or you're still unsure?
I just think he's a bit too early to do it.
Yeah,
really.
we wouldn't want to do it just now. We would want to neuter him when he was about 6 months of age, 5 to 6 months, because he's young and fit,
I want him to
healthy.
explore first.
Okay, he's got a couple more months he can be
Yeah.
exploring. If you are not thinking of breeding from him, then one of the best things that you can do, along with the vaccinations and the chipping, is getting him neutered.
Okay.
And that's because, obviously, there's links with cancer. Female dogs, there's a link between having them spayed and neutered and them getting breast cancer. And with a male dog, obviously, it's testicular cancer that we're worried about. Good boy. So the plan here is he's eating those treats. He's not even noticing. And it's all a fun experience being at the doggy doctor, isn't it? Pop a hand on him for me. Because I think he's going to fly off that table. Hey?
He's quick.
He's a good boy. You didn't notice. Hey, did we trick you? It might not seem natural to remove parts of an animal just to prevent them, breeding. But also, is it, you have to weigh that up against keeping an entire male dog with all those hormones and all those kind of uncontrollable urges that he'd be fighting against in the kind of society where there are bitches around on heat, driving him wild, expecting him to control those emotions, to remain on lead, to remain calm, to not get into scraps with other dogs over these bitches that are in heat, to not see anyone else as competition, to not then redirect that frustration anywhere. You know, to keep a dog entire with all of that going on around him is going to cause him an awful lot of stress, real frustration, having then to keep that dog inside maybe because you can't take it out because there's another entire male, there's a bitch in season around the block who's causing problems, and you know that smell is so strong. These dogs can't control, you know, with all those hormones there, they can't control their sort of, you know, natural urges, and all the stress that develops in that dog. Stress can cause you know, its own problems. Animals that are stressed do suffer. They suffer mentally as well as physically. And then I would argue that perhaps that's crueler than just a simple operation that's done painlessly under anaesthetic. It's a one-off. Our vets are brilliant at doing it. They're highly skilled. It's become a routine procedure. We do castrations and spaying every day. We have very good recoveries, and it's done, and that dog then can just relax, be a dog, have fun, and not have to worry about, I can't take him out today, or I have to take him out really late at night because, you know, he has problems with other dogs and bitches and he goes running off, I can't get him back, perhaps because he's smelling a bitch in the next neighbourhood that's in season, and he's not going to listen to you. He's governed by his hormones. His training's going to go out the window. So I think that's probably crueler than just get him neutered. It's done.
We'll be back after the break to talk about the roles a dog can play in our lives, and we'll also give you some helpful advice on day-to-day care. Don't go anywhere.
Felix has...
Hungry, frightened and alone, Barney is just one of thousands of animals taken in by the Blue Cross every year because nobody wants them. Will you give just £2 a month to the Blue Cross? Will you help save the life of a homeless animal like Barney? He relies on us now, but we rely on you. £2 a month can help us go on caring day after day until we find just the right home for Barney, however long it takes.
I don't think so. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Okay then.
Sorry, we'll look at it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Please help. Visit our website and give £2 a month. We're counting on your support.
We've heard from leading animal charity the Blue Cross and Zara Boland at Purina about the importance of understanding the individual health and nutritional needs of dogs at different ages and activity levels. Shortly, we'll be talking to our experts about what you need to know when it comes to feeding and healthcare routines for your dog.
In general terms, the smaller dogs tend to be the more active dogs, and so they'll have short, sharp bursts of energy and require high calorie for that element of their lifestyle, along with a high protein requirement, versus some of the bigger mountain dog types who are quite endurance stamina dogs, so they'll need slow release energy to sustain them for a longer period of time. If your own lifestyle doesn't allow you to take your dog out so frequently as you'd like, or to play with them, be very, very wary of their body condition and their energy requirements. Because some dogs, and actually in fact some breeds, are also more prone to weight gain than others. So you need to make sure that you're performing really regular body condition score checks to make sure you keep them to what we call ideal body condition, where you can feel the ribs, you can see a little bit of a waistline when you look from above, and they've got a little bit of a tummy tuck when you look from underneath. That's ideal body condition. If your dog is prone to putting on weight and isn't quite that ideal hourglass shape, then what you might need to consider is feeding a food that's actually lower in calories, and in fact there's also veterinary specific diets that will help your dog to lose weight if they have tipped over the edge into overweight or even obesity.
Marlon is a Staffy cross. We think Mastiff because he's got a very large head. But he's absolutely wonderful with people. You know, he really is a big softie. And he's loving his Kong there that's got some meat in it. I think you need to make sure that everyone in the family wants a dog as well. You don't want someone who's a bit on the fence or who isn't sure, who may just ignore the dog and not give it a particularly rewarding time. So making sure that everyone in the family is able to contribute and help with the dog's training and care, definitely. And it can be a really good reward for a family to bring a family together to care for a dog. And I think also to make sure that there's enough space in the home. So we wouldn't necessarily rehome a big dog to maybe a small flat or apartment where they haven't got room to move around. Some dogs do need a secure garden to burn off some steam, but others can live in a flat with no garden as long as they get regular walks. So, so space and sort of outdoor areas would be another consideration.
We all want to be good and responsible pet owners, but straightforward practical advice isn't always easy to come by. If we look after our pets, they will look after us.
The simplest way to ensure a happy, healthy life for you and your dog is to feed them the correct nutrition from when they're a puppy. Take them for long walks outside in the countryside, make sure they get plenty of exercise, play with them as much as you can. That will strengthen the bond that you both share and both of your enjoyment through life and will help you have a long, happy and adventurous life together. The Beta range is different because it actually contains a natural prebiotic called chicory across every pet food across the range. And so to explain that, we've all heard of good and bad bacteria in our guts. And effectively, a prebiotic is a food to feed the good bacteria and help them flourish over the bad. Whereas a probiotic, if you've heard of probiotics, are actually quantities of bacteria themselves. So they're a little harder to reach where we need them to reach in the immune system. So in Beta, we've actually added a natural form of food for all those good bacteria. It helps nourish them. And so when you've taken your prebiotic, which is formed in part of the diet, what you'll find, and the simplest way to describe it is the visible difference, I guess, on the outside. As a dog owner, quite often you're tasked with picking up stools. And so a good prebiotic in the diet will actually help that process a lot more easily.
Often the pet owner is the best person to know that there is something wrong with the dog. Okay, the vets have trained for many years and they know how to diagnose problems and how to treat them, but we're not living with these animals 24/7 and pet owners are, and they are really, someone that really knows and understands their animal and spends all that time with it is the best person to bring them in and say to us, there's just something wrong. Don't know what it is. It might be a feeling they've got. It might be that they know the normal kind of way that their animal behaves, and it might just be that animal's doing something out of character and they're just not behaving normally that says to that pet owner, there's something wrong. Obviously, we completely trust our clients. They come in, they're telling us, this is what my dog does. Might not be doing it here, that they might come in, for example, and say, well, the dog was holding his leg up, he's completely lame. Dog comes in here, hey, I'm really pleased to see you. And it may be that just the stress of being here kind of is overriding that problem. But we trust our clients, and we trust them when they tell us, there is a problem at home. And then it's up to us to really do that history-taking exercise where we really make sure we're asking the right questions to find out what on earth's the problem, and then how can we make it better for you. Want to have a look at your gums. All right, Angel. So he's got those real sharp teeth in there. Okay. Now, when he's 7 months of age, he's going to be losing those teeth and getting his adult teeth. While he's teething, that's a good sit. Aren't you clever? That's nice. Yeah, good lad. While he's is going through this teething process, really important. He's got lots and lots of chews, lots of things that he can really get to grips with those new teeth. Otherwise he's going to be chewing your furniture, your shoes, anything he can get his teeth on.
He's already on my shoes.
Has he? Right.
But I give him bones in them.
Yeah, perfect. When he starts chewing something that you don't want him to chew, like your shoes, give him an alternative. If the more you try and tug something off him, he's going to say, this is a brilliant game, and you're going to turn it into something that he's going to do to get your attention. So instead, really calmly take the shoe off him. Can't have that, have this instead, and really encourage him to use all these chews and treats.
And the main injections for the dog are the ones against distemper, parvovirus, leptospirosis, infectious canine hepatitis. Basically though, you don't need to worry too much about the names of all of those diseases as a dog owner, because the injections all come as a combined 6 or 7 in one injection, and then they're repeated as a booster a few weeks after they have the initial shot when they're a puppy. So you don't need to worry about all the individual parts of it. Obviously, if your pet is eating less or doesn't want to eat, or if they're drinking a lot, sometimes that can be a symptom of illness. Or if they just seem to be sleeping a lot or not really interested in getting up and greeting or taking part in family activities, I think those are all good indications to get in touch with your vet.
Here at the Blue Cross, we do a huge amount to try and educate the public about how to look after their animals. So we go into schools. We have a network of trained volunteers who give talks at schools. They take in their dogs sometimes, and the children love that because they can really get to experience an animal themselves. But we also educate people through our website, through talks. We lobby the government, so we sit on advisory panels where we try and advise the government on the kind of legislation that will help people to look after their pets, like the Animal Welfare Act, which came in recent years. So we do as much as we possibly can to educate the public and make sure that the next generation of pet owners will know how to look after their pets. In this country, we're very lucky that we do have animal welfare laws like the Animal Welfare Act, but there's a huge amount more we could do. One thing that the Blue Cross would like to see changed at the moment is the Dangerous Dogs Act, which actually penalises dogs based on the way they look and their breed. And we think that's wrong. We think that no animal should be born dangerous or thought to be born dangerous. It's to do with the actions of the animal, and very often that's to do with the way they're brought up and the way they're treated by their owner. So we would like to see dangerous dogs laws in this country focus on the owner of the animal and not the animal itself just because of the way it looks.
The Blue Cross is trying to help owners with more complex issues by sharing information, obviously encouraging people to contact us. I think that's so important because if a client is coming to us and they are concerned or have questions, they need to make sure that they voice those concerns when they're with us in the clinic. Something that owners can do when they have complex questions is write a list down before they come for their veterinary appointment so that they make sure that those issues are addressed with the vet when they're there. It's so easy to lose something or forget to mention something, walk out of the clinic and go, I should have said that. So it's really important to have a list, be prepared, ask all the questions. That's what the vet's there to do, and that's what the nurse is there to do. So make sure you get all those questions answered when you're in your consult.
I guess the most important thing is to consider your own lifestyle and the reason why you're looking for a dog and how that's going to fit with the lifestyle that you lead. Dogs, it's an old saying, but they are for life, and they're incredibly rewarding companions for both you and from their point of view also. It's really important just to do your research before you go in. Always find someone reputable, or go to a shelter home where they're always well catered for and will come vaccinated, wormed. Quite often they'll be neutered when you receive them as well. But if they're not, then you need to bring them to your vet and have a good chat to your vet about how to take care of your puppy and make sure that you take them through all their life stages to enjoy their retirement years with them as well. Top nutritional tips would be to always feed your dog to their life stage or their lifestyle. Always ensure there's an abundant supply of fresh water freely available 24 hours a day. And if you ever notice your dog going off his or her food, or if you think might be fussy for whatever reason, or if they get a little bit of tummy upset, always go and take them straight to your vet to get them fully checked out and make sure there's no underlying medical condition there.
Our job changes every day. From one minute you'll be, talking to someone about vaccinations. The next minute you'll be scrubbing and preparing a patient to go in for life-saving surgery. You then might be taking blood, you might be in the lab helping the vets to diagnose problems, you might be taking x-rays. You never know sort of from one day to next what you're going to be doing. So it's all about multitasking, which is brilliant, and actually getting on with people and working in a massive team. It's so rewarding to think at the end of the day you've helped that person and their animal stay together. And have that, what we experience with our pets, we're enabling people to experience the same with their pets, and that's a wonderful, truly wonderful thing.